Happy Wealth Wednesday. So excited to have you here, Ruffin, and to hear what you are doing with balsa and just an incredible background in real estate, which has been a hot topic in this year with COVID as real estate prices have been surging, and just with the network in general, looking to many of us in this age group looking to buy often our first home or investment properties. So really excited to chat with you. What was your first ever investment and what got you started?
My first investment was an apartment out in LA. I had been renting for many years, basically since I graduated college, so about 7 years. If you do the math on that, rent adds up pretty quickly, especially when you're living in a place like LA. And before LA, I was in New York. To be honest, I was pretty busy with my blinders on, focused on getting my career off the ground, and really was not thinking about investing in real estate or investing in the financial markets at all. But it was actually my mom who really encouraged me to kind of take that next step, look into what it might look like to buy an apartment and really get on the property ladder. So I ended up going through that experience. I felt like I was someone with all of this background from my parents in real estate and working in Proptech, kind of in the industry. You know, I was set up to buy my first home, thought it would kind of be this walk in the park experience, but actually just ended up being so blindsided and kind of surprised by how confusing and overwhelming the whole process felt. And that's really actually what sparked my idea to start balsa. I thought, there's got to be a better way to prepare people and to educate people so they feel, they don't feel that overwhelming and kind of anxiety provoking feeling that I felt when you're getting on the property ladder, because it is such a big, financial step. And so, yeah, that's really actually how I came up with the idea for balsa, and that's kind of what I'm hoping to improve.
How and why you got into this space, because it is such an investment to be an entrepreneur. Why do this? Why balsa?
I think it's really like a culmination of kind of my personal and professional experiences. I also think if you had told me, how crazy it would be in my first year of trying to launch this, I had no idea what I was getting into, but it's been awesome and exciting and fun. I really think it links back to kind of being the daughter of entrepreneurs. I always kind of saw that as, what my future would be, and it's really what I wanted for myself. And then I think really being the daughter of a female founder was obviously extremely impactful to me. I saw her build an incredibly successful business, and just watching that is really kind of what gave me that extra confidence that I needed to do this. And then again, I think it was all like kind of luck and timing. Like at Deloitte, I learned about the space and was just fascinated. I kind of followed, my curiosity there, and that took me to PeerStreet, which is kind of where I made connections in the space and kind of learned what it might look like inside of a startup. And then just going through that first-time buyer experience is ultimately what kind of led me to this specific idea. So yeah, just really think it's a culmination of everything that's happened.
What role do you feel you play in the wealth space, and why do you think it's important?
And that really links back to kind of how fortunate I was to kind of grow up around this space of real estate. Not only did I just learn a lot from, my mom being on the phone all the time with her clients, and then my parents talking at the dinner table about different real estate concepts, but also I saw kind of the financial opportunities that getting on the property ladder and investing in real estate can bring to people. So I really feel like it's my place to kind of share that access with other people that may not have grown up with the same access to the industry. So I think that really first starts with providing more education. I think no matter where you are, no matter your education background, no matter where you grew up, I think everyone needs more education and insight into this space. Then I think from there, and what I would love to see the future of balsa and the future work that I do is really helping and supporting first generation buyers more specifically, because I think, along with the education that they need, they also need more help in terms of the capital. So first generation buyers do not have that equity piece that family members before them can pass down. So I would love to build out programs that really can support first generation buyers and actually help them with that capital infusion to get on to the property ladder initially.
What do you think is the most exciting thing you've learned that you would want others to know?
I think when people talk about investing in real estate, I think most people are initially scared away because the thought is you need all of this money to kind of get into the space. But again, traditionally that might have been the case, but now there's all these exciting things going on, and there really are different ways to kind of tap into real estate. So a few companies, I can give you an example. So there's a company called Divvy Homes that basically allows you to rent to own your home. So basically each month with your rent payment, you'll pay, maybe a little extra percent and put that towards equity in the home that they've helped you purchase. And then eventually you can buy them out or decide to sell and move on to a different property. So super interesting model. Another really cool one that launched is called Built. And basically they're allowing people to earn points, almost like credit card points on your rent payments. So the idea is, with that big chunk of funds that you're spending on rent every month, you can either earn points to save up for a down payment, or you can use those points to even buy workout classes or buy airline points. So super interesting. And then, the other one I mentioned is a platform like Fundrise, where, if buying a home is not necessarily in your financial plans, instead of taking that route, you can invest in more of like an investment standpoint. So spending $100 to get into a bigger deal of real estate. So really just a ton of super exciting things happening and many different ways to get into the space.
Is there a particular person or company in this space that really inspires you, and why?
So I think who I've been most inspired by is kind of in a parallel space. It's a company called Female Invest. So it's 3 female co-founders in business school, and they've started Female Invest, I think 2 or 3 years ago now. And it's basically a platform that's educating on investing in the financial markets. It's super cool to see what they've built and achieved in the past few years. They actually just got accepted into Y Combinator, and just really inspired by what they're doing and excited to follow them in the future.
And what advice would you give to somebody getting started?
This piece of advice I'll share more on like the entrepreneur first-time founder side. Something that I've learned in the past year and something that I still continue to work on is trying to avoid comparing myself to other founders. I think I can get bogged down sometimes about, seeing the progress other first-time founders or other entrepreneurs are making. And I think it's important to remember that every entrepreneur kind of has their own journey, and you just got to focus on what's working for you and your business. With the template I built, for those of you that have not checked it out, it's basically just supposed to kind of get you started to help you understand like what financially buying a home could look like for you overall. So it's a template that kind of allows you to personalize different things. So it helps you look at kind of what a monthly mortgage payment might look like, what a down payment might look like for a property in the city that you're looking to buy in. It helps you look at kind of affordability and how a mortgage lender might be considering and looking at you as a borrower. And then it also helps you kind of understand, what are the trade-offs of, if you invest that down payment into, let's say, the financial markets and you're earning a certain percent there, what are kind of those trade-offs of doing that instead of buying? So it's kind of this comprehensive picture of looking at the finances of getting on the property ladder. And I think, honestly, that's probably, in my mind, one of the best places to start, is to kind of start thinking about financially what that might look like. It's going to be very different for every person, considering your financial background, where you're living, what type of property you're interested in buying. Are you buying with a friend, a partner, or are you buying alone? So I think that's really probably one of the best places to start, I would say.
How are you seeing people thinking about home ownership and the property ladder with those constraints? Any thoughts?
So a few things come to mind. I think for those of us, especially living in these bigger cities, one thing to think about is, again, like getting an apartment that might be a little bit more affordable. Another thing I've seen a lot of people doing recently, especially I've heard of people in San Francisco, for example, maybe you're renting in the city that you live in, but maybe you're buying, in Utah or somewhere else where you enjoy going. during parts of the year, and then you're renting that out to Airbnbers or whoever. So I think that's a super interesting way to get on the property ladder. Not exactly traditional, but we're working with the situation here. And then another thing to keep in mind that a lot of people do not know of, there's a ton of down payment assistance programs that really plugs that gap of helping you get on the property ladder. So instead of having to put 20% down on a property, you could put as low as 3.5% down on a property. And that kind of plugs that huge upfront cost that really is blocking a lot of us from purchasing our first homes.
With that, is there anything else we should know? How can we stay in touch with what you're doing, the events you're hosting, learn more about what you are building with Balsa?
Yeah, for sure. So we have a website, which is balsaonhome.com. We are always posting updates there, as well as I do a lot of updating on LinkedIn. So you can find me on LinkedIn, Ruffin Mitchener. I'm sure we'll share my link after. And then let's see where else. Like I mentioned, we have a super exciting webinar series coming up. It's a 3-part series. We'll be bringing in a realtor, a loan officer, and then a property investor to share their insights on kind of all things real estate and their specific angles. You can sign up from the link on our website. If you can't join live, go ahead, register, and we'll make sure to send you the recording after.
Thank you so much for everything that you've shared. I'm very excited to be following along on your journey, both entrepreneurially and with this amazing new company in real estate. Thank you so much for joining, and we'll be following along.
Thank you so much. This has been so fun.